All right, this is Rudy. It's March the 10th, the year 2017. I'm going to do something very dangerous yet again. I'm going to give my commentary about, I have done my best to kind of stay out of this and to not get in the middle of this. But it almost seems like an impossible situation. So,
because Schaeffer asked you to.
Schaeffer is asking us to get involved. I consider Maria a friend, and I said it before that she's never shown any lack of integrity or honesty with me. That's not to say that Schaeffer doesn't have a valid beef. Schaeffer obviously feels that Maria and Richard and the AFL board have done him dirty, that they have taken money, used it in ways that there's no accountability, and whatever he said in his letters. You go read the letters, and he
deserves an answer.
And here's the deal. Everybody has different styles. Okay, my style is to be incredibly transparent. I lay everything on the table because I know that if I try to hide anything off the table, the government will use that against me. They'll try to twist the situation. And so I have always tried to operate with extreme transparency. But some people, that's not their style. Some people want to operate with secrecy. They don't like their names to be out in the public, and that may be the case with certain members of the AFL board for whatever reason. I'm not going to question that. I am in not a very enviable position of I have tried not to get in the middle of this, but Schaeffer has asked me to get in the middle of it. I'm sure he's asked other people too. I'm sure Schaeffer would take whatever help he can get to rectify whatever wrongs he think have been done against him. My only perception at this point in time is, had the AFL board communicated with Schaeffer, right, and addressed his concerns, I wouldn't have to be in this position. And you say, are you complaining? No, I'm not whining and I'm not complaining. If Schaeffer wants to send me a letter, I'm going to read his letter and I ain't going to censor him. Okay, but he's the one who's spending 26 years in prison and his life has been destroyed. And so if all I got to do is read a letter into YouTube, I can handle that. Don't get me wrong. But I don't enjoy the position of reading these letters calling out people that I considered friends. It's not an enviable position. But if Schaeffer wants me to do that, I'm going to do it. And if other people want to do that, then I encourage you to do that. Schaeffer's the one that's spending his life in prison, right? My concern is, and I can't answer this question right now, is why is the AFL board not communicating with Schaeffer? If they're supposedly operating in his best interest and they were put together to help him, why wouldn't they want to communicate with him? Why wouldn't they want to address all his questions directly? Instead of Schaeffer being forced into this corner of asking me and whoever else will jump in to go run down all these issues. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so we just seem to be on this collision course of calling, Schaeffer's, it just seems to be an impossible situation. And unless there's answers provided about accountability, how much money was raised, was there any sort of situation? And I'm just guessing, right? Who knows? Who knows what all the details are? But when there's no response, it just puts...
His patience is worn thin. It's been 2 years he's been asking these questions.
Yeah. And I don't know what else to say. I certainly want to be sensitive to the fact if people got valid answers to Schaeffer's questions, then my response to you guys is, why don't you send that off to Schaeffer? He's got a mailing address. You know how many letters I've mailed to Schaeffer and letters he's mailed back? And why haven't people told Schaeffer this? Why haven't people from the AFL board said, hey, Schaeffer's getting very upset with us. He's got all these questions. Why don't we answer his questions? And when you don't respond, right, it makes you look very bad.
It's not fair to anybody.
Yeah. And it's certainly not my intention to call out anybody who's not guilty. But I would say just please respond to Schaeffer. That's all I'm asking, and I think that's all Schaeffer's asking. Just get in a dialogue with him directly. Who wants things to go through third parties? I don't want to be a third party in this. All right. Well, we're just going to keep moving forward, and this is not a battle for the thin-skinned, and expect expect whatever casualties to come, as far as, people's reputations on the line, people's honor is on the line, integrity. People are being called out, basically being called thieves, people being called, with no honor, no integrity, and that's very serious stuff.
What would you do if it was you?
If Schaeffer, if I was in a situation where I tried to help Schaeffer and Schaeffer was attacking me, like he's attacking the AFL board or members of the AFL board, I would aggressively defend myself. And I would be talking to Schaeffer and saying, hey, you need to calm down, and here's what's exactly happened. And if there's been any swindling going on with third parties or other people that we don't even know about, and people got snookered, then I would say, hey, that needs to be discussed.
If people got what?
Snookered.
What?
Snookered.
Oh.
Anyway, it's a difficult situation, especially when it involves friends, and I hate that all this has happened, and I certainly don't want to be in this position, but I am not going to abandon my post. As long as Schaeffer desires me to read his letters, I'm going to keep doing it, okay? And if ever he says, Rudy, I don't want you to read my letters anymore, or if it's all dependent upon Schaeffer's desires, okay? And I'm not just a puppet of Schaeffer, but I don't censor a man who's spending 26 years in prison. And if he's got something to say, I'm going to read it. And I pray that everyone tries to help out. I mean, there's something here that needs to be resolved, and I don't know how to resolve it. And I would hope that the people who are directly being affected and the people that are directly on the board and Schaeffer would get in direct communication, and all this stuff could be worked out.
Hurry up.
And if that can't happen, well, we'll just keep going down this road for as long as we have to, I guess. All right, that's all I got. God bless. Bye-bye.